There we go. That should be it. And let's get this ready. I'm assuming we're live now. Okay. The VGRT Gaming Podcast, episode 757, recorded on July 8th, 2025. You're muted, TJ.
Hello and welcome to the 757th edition of the TD Gaming Podcast and 590th episode of Video Game Roundtable. I am TJ Dinser.
I am Scott Dirk.
I am Jonah Falcon.
VGRT Gaming Podcast focuses on game news from around the industry.
All right, so this is going to be really quick. There's not much news. All the news was last week when we were all having July 4th stuff. Scott, what have you been playing?
Let's see. I have been playing, I guess mostly Minecraft and Final Fantasy V.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah.
How about you, TJ? I think you said you had you did have something that you were embargoed from talking about.
I've been playing Death Stranding too, a lot. I've been trying to finish up the game for review, but like the embargo is passed at this point. It's a huge game, and I had something kind of in the way when I was reviewing it. But I think it's better than the first game on every way. I think it's funner to play. I think the story is less nonsensical, which take that for what it is. It's Hideo Kojima. It's still Hideo Kojima weird. But I think that everything is more cohesive. I think it's more fun. I think it's more like developed and thought out. Like you unlock new equipment in that game, and it just adds another piece like to your toy box that you get to play with as you keep going. And that game is full of toys. And not only that, but it is a very beautiful landscape to explore and mess with.
I've been trying as hell to avoid, because the ending has everybody gone crazy, and I'm trying to avoid hearing the specifics. It's sort of like everybody's talking about the ending of the game. It's really supposed to be out there.
I will not say, but there's a turning point near the end of the game, which is like a really big gut punch. But also, I'm kind of mad at it. Like, I don't know. Well, we'll talk about that later. I won't say anything more on it, but it is quite an emotional roller coaster, the whole thing.
As for me, I'm playing an 8-year-old game. I'm playing Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Oh, that's a good one.
For those you don't know, it's basically sort of like Duck Game, except you're building the level as you go along. If everybody can reach the exit, no one gets any points because it's too easy. You have to have at least one person fail before anybody can score, and you get bonuses. So I'm getting into it, but I know also why it's on Game Pass is because the sequel is coming out later this year. So basically, this is getting people on board with Ultimate Chicken Horse so that they can move on to the next game. It is really fun. It is one of those games which you'll point to and say, that's a good design. Take notice. But I still wish they had Duck Game on Xbox.
Yeah. And like Ultimate Chicken Horse is just really silly, good fun. Both of those games are just ridiculous when you get together with other people or when you just like let craziness happen. They're chaos incarnate, and letting the chaos play out is the fun.
Yeah. I also finished Genesis Noir. It's a game I started 4 years ago, dropped, and now I got back into it. So I just played through the entire thing. And I like the ending. And I like both endings. And I just did it to get 100% achievements, but it's still an interesting game. Have you ever played Genesis Noir?
Yes, I think it's a very interesting and artistic game.
Other than that, I really haven't played much else. I have started playing Dragon Age Veilguard again because it's one of those games in which I just want to play again and see the ending again, even though I recorded the ending. It just has, it's just the way it has been with Mass Effect and Dragon Age during my life. I always replay them, at least the latest chapter, over and over. I'm probably due to play the Mass Effect trilogy again. And I'm wondering if I want to start from scratch, if I want to start from Mass Effect 2 with the character that I like the best, who has no romance. I deliberately had him had no romance in the first game. So, yeah. We're going to move on to quick news. Germany is showing they have testicles when everybody else doesn't. For those who don't know, Germany is telling Google and Apple to remove DeepSeek. It's really a weird thing to say, isn't it? DeepSeek? The DeepSeek Act from their stores. For those who don't know, the DeepSeek Act is China's version of ChatGPT. And Germany is saying, wait a minute, what are you doing with that data? And they're telling, you know what, get it off the app, get it off our apps. We don't want until they do, because they asked the company, stop recording data, and the company did not comply. So they're just saying, yep, get it off our app. Off. And more people should do that because DeepSeek app records a lot of data, and you don't want to. I don't know what China is. They want data on everybody. I don't think I have anything that they want. I don't think they have anything I want except maybe for my credit card number. You're muted again there, TJ.
It's a race between these people to like scrape as much like visual and animation data from anything that they can get for this stuff to try to make it as real as possible. AI image generation and like generative AI is basically what it's called, but like it is still at a point where like when you see it, if you know what you're looking for, it looks like shit. But some people actually do get fooled by that stuff. They don't recognize that there's like double hands folding into each other on people, or like
that's the scary part. Is they're actually getting beyond that now? Because my wife just loves showing me like art that she does with like these Dark Shadows characters, and I can barely tell that it's AI now. It looks really good.
That's not what they're worried about. They're worried about data sharing.
Yeah, data share. I mean, there's a lot of things to be worried about. The data sharing, the stealing of people's IPs and art, and just the abuse.
It isn't that. No, I mean personal data, as in your credit card data and all that stuff. Your demographic data. So the same thing that TikTok is accused of doing.
Sure.
The Chinese government. That's what Germany's worried about.
Yeah.
Sure. But
Germany's not asking ChatGPT off the iPhone and Android.
Yeah, but like every one of these groups, to a certain degree, abuse what they have, like as far as their freedoms go. To like, they collect data without consent, and that's the big part that pisses everybody off. And when China collects data without consent, people get concerned.
The other thing, the other news is Microsoft firing a bunch of studios. But here's the thing. Why are you surprised? This always happens after a big merger. People don't know about business. When you have a major, who was it? Was MCI Sprint bought MCI, right? A lot of people got fired a couple of months later because of redundancy. That's what's happening here. It's redundancy. It's a bummer that you were not going to see another Perfect Dark, but I don't think there's never going to be another Perfect Dark game. The one that surprised me was, oh god, they were the people who were doing what do they call themselves? It was such a vague name. The Imperative? Forgot their name. You know what I'm talking about.
Can't fully remember either.
They originally worked on Gears of War 5. The Initiative. That's it. The Initiative.
Oh, okay. Wait, are you talking about the Coalition?
Oh, the Coalition, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Or was it the Initiative? They have also one called
Coalition made Gears 5.
Yeah. But so yeah, the thing that I was shocked that what's it called? Everybody was certain that it was either going to be State of Decay 3 or Fable, because Fable has been in this weird holding pattern, right? It's like, yes, there's a Fable. No, there's not a Fable. This is a Fable. No, there's not a Fable. And that's the one that I think everybody really cares about, is whether another Fable is coming out. But by the way, that's why the Outer Worlds 2 was the showcase. Because I think that it could have been either it was probably it was probably going to be Perfect Dark that was going to be the showcase, and they had to swiftly swap it out for the Outer Worlds 2. The Outer Worlds 2. The Outer World is a completely different game. That's what I think about. Those two games have this. You have the Outer Worlds and you have the Outer Wilds. They're completely different games.
I was confused too. But I thought there was a Fable with Richard Iota. I think his name is. He's playing a giant.
Oh yeah. That's a 3-year-old trailer.
Wow, I didn't realize it's been 3 years.
2 or 3 years, yeah. But yeah, and here's the other thing: games get canceled. This is what I don't like. Is when you announce a game but you haven't made it yet. I think there should be a law. You can't announce a game until you have had at least 1 year of development in it. Because The Last Guardian, Sony showed up The Last Guardian, and it vanished for like 11 to 12 years. And when it came out, it was sort of like, wasn't as fantastic as it was supposed to be. Also, that chicken dog, whatever creature, was really stupid. What else? Or right now, Bloodlines 2. It's supposed to come out this year. Is it? I don't know. All I know is that the Chinese room changed the main character from a thin blood to an elder. I don't know if I like it or not. We'll see when the game comes out. But stop announcing games before you've even worked a minute on them. Just stop it. Just if you're going to, you know what? If a trailer doesn't have gameplay, even if it's just a vertical slice, ignore it. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. Until Fable has actual Fable gameplay, it's a fantasy. Well, it's always going to be a fantasy. But I mean, it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I was really disappointed to see Everwild on that list. I know it's been quiet, but it's just like we haven't seen Rare do anything besides Sea and Thieves in a long time, and I was excited to see them finally do something different. But
the thing is that they're not going to cancel a game that's in mid-development. I think Everwild... Remember that Life by You, or whatever the name of the game was, the Sims game? Sort of like that, sometimes people don't get their shit together and they don't make a game. I mean, 5 years from now, we're going to find out how advanced these games were, how far they got into Perfect Dark, how far they got into Everwild, how far they got into these games that were announced. I'm ready to hear what happened with... the original developer of Bloodlines 2, because they were not a fly-by-night developer. But it sounded like, Paradox made it sound like they were just sitting on their asses doing nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. It isn't like we were hearing a lot of Everwild news over the years, so like, I understand that part, but I also think, man, what a bummer. Like, why are they announcing all these games and then like
Sony does the same thing,
and then they just disappear?
Well, I mean, Scalebound, remember that was a platinum game that was supposed to be for the Xbox, never came out.
But the turnabout on that was like pretty quick from what I remember. I'm telling you, like, Everwild was announced in what, 2018 and 2019, something like that. It's been a while since we heard about it.
I don't know. What I could guess is that it wasn't Rare working on it. It was sort of like Grounded, in which just a small team, is working on Grounded. It's not Obsidian's main team, and it could be that it might have been a small team from Rare. They showed something to Microsoft. Hey, look how cute this is. Okay, work on it. And then it's sort of like, because here's the thing: if it wasn't late in development, they weren't going to cancel it because that's money. That's for Game Pass, right? It's just another IP for Game Pass, and we won't know until 10 years from now what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, we'll see about State of Decay 3 is still coming out, and I always thought if there was going to be a game that was canceled, that would be the Sacrificial Lamb. You know?
I don't know, because State of Decay 3 isn't really all that different from from Everwild and Fable at this point, right? We've seen a trailer, but I don't think we've ever seen gameplay or like kept. We haven't gotten many updates on it either.
But here, you want to see some of the Rare was making Everwild, right? But they were also doing work on Sea of Thieves and something else. State of Decay is a small developer, and they're working on it, and they're probably very efficient at it. They're not a big money eater, in other words. And they probably have something close to finishing. The only thing that worries me is that I'm hoping it's not a live service game. That was one of the rumors, that it was going to be more of a multiplayer focus. We'll see. Yeah, a lot of cancellations lately, not just from Microsoft. So some games that were highly anticipated that just, the entire... Here's the thing. The pandemic made a lot of people think there were a lot more gamers than there really were.
Yeah. Yeah. Because once it ended at a certain point, there was a lot of people that bowed out of just like the streaming and the gaming industry. Then it was kind of just like a fill-in for them.
Right now, both Joanna Dark's actor and Adam Jensen's actor are asking for the fans to do a sort of Cagney and Lacey thing to save them. Like, write in, help, save us, save us. The other big news is that Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. And MLB forced Sony into putting MLB The Show on other platforms. This is Sony making the choice of putting Helldivers 2 on Xbox, which sort of tells you the state of gaming right now, because it tells me Sony really needs that extra money.
Yeah, there was something interesting about the release date they chose too. I'd have to see what it...
It's in August.
Helldivers 2 launches on Xbox the same day as something else launches. That's pretty important.
Well, it's not Gears, I don't think. Although it'd be funny if they decided to release Helldivers 2 on the same day as Gears Reloaded, because that's basically like saying, oh yeah, you're putting an Xbox game on us, we're going to put a Sony game on you. Oh dear.
That might be the one. Yes. Gears of War Reloaded and Helldivers 2 on Xbox release on the same day, August 26th.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Microsoft gamers can actually wait on Gears because it's on Game Pass. So they say, well, if we want to spend the $60 on Helldivers 2, let's do it. And they can do both. Gears will be new on Sony, obviously. So you're probably more in tune with this than I am, and this is a news item that I completely forgot about this week. But something's going on with Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh yeah, it's been in
PC, that is.
There's a lot of people that are mad about the balance of it right now.
Okay.
Just that's really all the long and short of it. There are people that are just really pissed off about how the balance is. There's a lot of folks that felt like it was way too easy, which I could see because like the secret, the creature that you get to ride, it lets you drive around pretty easily and reposition against the monster a lot. And I think that it, to a certain extent, it's fun, but it also kind of trivializes the difficulty. And it hasn't got better as they've been releasing new monsters. So folks are upset to the point where today, like, they were talking about putting out like a balanced strategy meeting, and then Capcom called it off because the Monster Hunter devs got like literal threats from players.
Yeah.
And so rough to, like, that game, it's fine, but like the players are the really aggressively into it players are grumpy right now to a ridiculous degree.
And of course, another news that's been in the past 48 hours is that they've had to take Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? World War 2. Because hackers have invaded and they're using exploits. So they had to pull the entire thing down, and it's still down.
Mm.
We're going to move on to game news. European game publisher group responds to Stop Killing Games, claims the proposal would curtail developer choice. We all know what a steaming bunch of bullshit that is, but we'll continue. This weekend, the Stop Killing Games movement reached a critical milestone to become a European citizens initiative. But not everyone is on board. No shit, Sherlock. Video Games Europe, a trade association representing game developers and publishers in the EU, released a statement on Friday pushing back against them because they say it's too expensive for developers and publishers to offer private service or single-player modes in games that lose online multiplayer support, and that fan or open-supported versions of these games could present legal liabilities for companies, particularly when it comes to cybersecurity and content. What? I don't get that. Why would you care at that point? No. Here's what they're really saying. We don't want people playing those games without us because that means we're losing money. Why would they care about content moderation and cybersecurity? I mean, I could understand if they started putting swastikas on everything, but that's not what they're really concerned about.
Yeah.
This is basically if we're canceling the game, and if we can't have it, neither can you. So bye. And also, what the fuck does it have to do with game preservation anyway? Why are you, what's it called? They're concerned about single-player games. And the fact that you don't own your own game. And Ubisoft, Yves Guillemot had the balls to say, well, you don't own your own game, so shut up. Yeah.
And like, this is what happens when we have people that are actually trying to make a difference in this too. Like, that's a shame. It's
but it's not. It's still going forward. I mean, they're trying to say, but what about? It's too expensive. Well, guess what? Games are already too expensive. You know what happens if you drop prices? Hey, more people play your game.
Yeah.
If you want people to play your game, how about lowering the price?
Well, and like, Stop Killing Games brings up something that I'd like everybody should be concerned about if they like a certain online game that's life depends on it being online. Like, that was a huge part of why people were pissed off about Overwatch 2 is because it completely overwrote Overwatch 1, so you couldn't even go back to that anymore. So, like, it doesn't matter if you don't like it or you do like it. You just, Overwatch 1 is gone. It's never going to be playable again because they just put Overwatch 2 on top of it like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I've been following this campaign pretty closely because I've been wanting to fight for digital rights preservation, and this is like a good step in that direction. And Ross has gone into great detail about what this campaign means and all the different aspects of it. And, you know, we just want to be able to not have the game deleted, like you're mentioning. Overwatch 1 gets overwritten, and these companies just delete games, like when they
Well,
don't.
here's the thing. That's what they're really saying is that we don't want people to own their games.
They want it to be a service. They want it to be a service that they can remove at any time, and they don't want you to own it. They don't care about the cultural impact of games. They just want your money, and then to take it away at any point.
And then they're shocked when people don't buy their games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Why? It's like, yeah, you know what? Guess what? If you want to do that, if you want to do a live service, fine. But don't be surprised if when you tell people you don't own your game, we say, okay, bullshit. We'll just go to another service. I mean, Microsoft's doing an end around on that, and Microsoft won't be and PlayStation, although PS Plus, I don't know what's going on with that. But when you have Netflix rentals, that's an end around way to it. And it's acceptable. I mean, but if we decide to purchase that game, we should own it, And this is the funny thing is the idea that you were licensing the game didn't start with digital games. It actually started with physical games. You go to any cartridge game from the Nintendo 64, even before that, you go to any CD games or any DVD games, they have the same language. They say, you don't own this, you're renting it from us. We're selling you the license. But here's the thing. Try and take this cartridge away from me. Try to take it away from me. You can't, can you?
Yeah.
Did you see that story about Ubisoft's EULA, where it's like, we want you to destroy physical copies of your games? I was like, yeah, that's not happening.
No. It's sort of like, no one returned their copy of, oh God, what was the name of that game? Oh, the infamous
Concord
game.
or Concord?
No, that Diablo type game. Jesus Christ, that was based on Viking myth. Oh dear God, I can't believe I forgot it. Which, let's see, action RPG.
Not Grimdark.
No, Norse mythology, and now it's free for download. Too Human. When they were ordered, when Too Human was ordered to be destroyed, no one sent in their Too Human. Although it was so bad, people may have done it here. It's a good excuse to take it, but no owner of Too Human ever sent it out to be destroyed. As a matter of fact, now you can get it for free. That gets around the entire Epic Unreal Engine licensing thing. But no one, you can tell people to do it. They're not going to do it, What? Oh, and that's the other thing. Oh, there's also a case going on with Nintendo. And if you've seen this, Brazil is telling Nintendo, you can't ban people from using their Switches if they mod it or anything like that. You can't do that. And the thing is, Nintendo doesn't have an office in Brazil, so they had to go through the American office, which is funny. But it's sort of like, and now Nintendo is the one getting sued here by Brazil. And it's interesting because Nintendo goes unchallenged with the idea that you're not allowed to have homebrew in this, and that's exactly wrong. You are allowed to. What you're not allowed to do is mod actual games. And here's the thing. Microsoft, with all their Xbox consoles, they allow you to go into developer mode. But if you decide to do that, and developer mode is where you can do modded games and all that stuff, homebrew. But if you do that, you're not allowed to go online and play the regular games. You can play it. You can either play Xbox games, or you can play your homebrew modded or retro games. Like, okay, if you want to play Super Mario on your Xbox, go right ahead. We're not going to stop you. But you just can't play Xbox games. You can't go online if you do. Because then because they do allow you for a charge to go into developer mode. But Nintendo is trying to brick consoles that violate their terms of service, and Brazil said, can't do that. They paid for it. They paid for their system. You can't block it off. Not in this country, at least. It'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, it is because like, how do you stop Nintendo from doing that? Besides, I guess it would be a fine.
They just know. They just say, okay, Switches can't be sold in Brazil anymore.
Yeah.
And that's basically what they're saying. Is, if you don't do that, we're not going to let you sell in our country because what you're doing is anti-consumer. Nintendo has to go into a dictionary and see what that means. What does that mean, anti-consumer? Oh, it's that thing we do, but we call it money.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's obviously Nintendo isn't going to go out of its way to lose an entire country for full of potential buyers, but it's
But here's the thing: if Brazil does it, the EU may go, because as we found out, Brazil, the EU loves to pick fights with companies about consumer protection. And here's the most recent news. Brazil takes issue with Nintendo bricking Switch 2s. Nintendo has 20 days to respond to a Brazilian watchdog's legal complaint. They got 20 days. This is an expedited thing, just so you know. And here's the reason why, is that people are purchasing secondhand Switch 2s that have been bricked.
That's wild. I didn't even consider the fact that somebody might turn around and sell a bricked Switch to just offload
that happened with the PlayStation 5 on launch, remember? People were buying these PlayStation 5s not knowing that they had been bricked because they had been stolen and been reported stolen. That is by the way, that is a valid reason to brick a console if it's a stolen console. But it sucks to be the person who bought it. Yeah. So it's Procon SP, and they filed a complaint, and Nintendo has 20 days to respond. It'll be an interesting month.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. That's going to be interesting to see how that turns out.
And then also Nintendo has responded with Nintendo's price point of the Switch 2 would be a barrier to younger fans. They said, well, you can just buy a Switch. By the way, guess what? In Canada, the original Switch has risen in price.
Yes. It might be raising even more because we just got announcements of 25% tariffs on Japan and South Korea today, which they'd already had 20% on Vietnam, and the idea is that a lot of people suspected Nintendo shifted manufacturing of the Nintendo Switch 2 over to Vietnam, but I think they still have to make certain things like chips and whatnot in Japan. So it's probably going to be getting to be time soon where we see if those costs are eaten up by the companies or passed on to us. And given history, I'm guessing that we're going to see those costs passed on to us.
Here's the thing. At that point, we're going to be more concerned about eating food than console games.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft's giggling because, hey, we have Game Pass. You can't tariff that. And I think that might push people to... Sony raised the price of PlayStation Plus a few days ago, but I think even they see... This might, and oh, by the way, I wonder if that's another reason why they are selling Helldivers 2 on the Xbox, because all these tariffs and a lot of people still play physical games, physical consoles. They may not be able to sell as many consoles right now as they want because of these tariffs. Helldivers 2, let's get some more people in there.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see how that handles on Xbox as well, because that game exploded with popularity on PlayStation. So you get more people in there throwing grenades at each other, engaging in the silliness. That is another. That's another game that thrives on chaos.
Did you see these two fanboys on Twitter who says they're going to start griefing Xbox players on Helldivers 2? How dare Sony put Helldivers 2 on Xbox? Well, I'll tell you why Sony put Helldivers 2 on Xbox. They want to make money. They're not here for you. these console fanboys, I have to tell them, these companies don't love you. They don't love you back. Microsoft doesn't do Game Pass out of the kindness of their heart. They do it because it gets them money. And also they need to win back, bad press. And I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about back with the Xbox One. Boy, was that a fumble by Don Matrick. The Xbox 360 was ruling the world. Then Don Matrick just said, "Hey, Sony, you want this PlayStation 4 to sell better than us? Here, we're going to make it easy for you." I miss the Xbox 360.
Yeah, it was a good one. That was a good era.
The Super Nintendo, the Xbox 360, my Commodore 64, my Amiga. Anyways, yeah. So a lot of weird shit going on right now.
Yep.
So TJ, you're heading out of the country?
Yeah, I can't talk about that one yet.
Were you going to Eastern Europe or?
Yeah, I'll be in Eastern Europe.
That sounds like fun.
Weren't you in Eastern Europe last week?
Yes, last week was, it was 2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks ago.
I was Czech Republic. This time it's going to be Poland.
But I mean, what was the Czech Republic?
Czech Republic was a DayZ thing. They announced their latest expansion for the game.
I told you. I knew. I'm not stupid. I know. I look back, check the tapes. Yeah, I said it was something to do with Arma or DayZ.
Yep.
Because if it isn't CD Projekt Red. By the way, there's a lot of movement going on there too, with their Cyberpunk sequel, and I think there's even more DLC coming. Something with Cyberpunk 2 is coming.
They just announced season 2 of Edge Runners, the animated series.
Show. Yeah. Oh, which reminds me,
the character from the first season is also coming to Guilty Gear as a fighting game character here shortly.
By the way, Eric Barone has announced yet another patch for Stardew Valley. Where's the Haunted Chocolatier, Eric? People don't need more Stardew Valley. Although I think he said it was a quality of life thing that was going on with this patch. I don't know. But he's still adding shit to his game.
Yep, he's probably going to keep adding to it. I hope he doesn't end up... I really do hope he's eventually able to complete Haunted Chocolatier. I hope... But I also kind of hope that it doesn't drive him crazy going back and forth between those things and continually fixing one thing while he's making the other thing.
But here's the thing. He actually said a few months ago, actually in May, I might eventually make a Stardew Valley 2. Eric, I think you're already making Stardew Valley 2. You just don't know it. I would like to see anybody who's played Stardew Valley when it launched and play Stardew Valley now, tell me if it's the same damn game.
It seems like the same game, just really expanded a lot.
Isn't that what a sequel should be? The same game except expanded a lot? That's what Sid Meier says. The thirds. One half old, one half updated,
third.
One half fixed. I mean, one third fixed. One third old, 1/3 new, 1/3 fixed.
Yeah. But
he's done 3/4 fixed at this point.
I mean, he's still working on the Chocolatier, which will be like a different vibe kind of a game.
Is he? That's
farming.
What he says he's working on it. But, I mean, I just see him. He's working on coding for Chocolatier, Haunted Chocolatier. He looks over. I'm going to stop for now. I just had an idea for Stardew Valley, and then spends 2 weeks working on a new feature for Stardew Valley. I wish I was a fan of Stardew Valley, but I can't get into farm sims like that, or life sims like that. It just takes up too many. In order to play something like Stardew Valley, you have to live the game. You just can't play it.
It is a very deep investment. Like people that have talked about that game have talked about putting like 500 to 1,000 hours into it.
Sort of sounds like Dan Quick and Civ 6.
Well, yeah, I've played thousands of hours on Civilization throughout my life,
No. Millions of hours, because I'm just thinking about Civ 6.
But
I have to check to see where Dan is on Civ 6. I'm pretty sure it's
I can ask him.
No, you can just check on Steam. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like at 900 hours to 1,000
Okay, then
hours.
let me see. I can check that. It's my Civ 6.
Anyways, I've seen people on Civ 6 who have played 2,000 hours. That's several months of a game.
There we go.
Speaking of which, Civ 7 is slowly dying.
Dan is at 3,357 hours.
On Civ 6.
Civ 6, yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. And I already asked him. He said he has no interest in Civ 7. And right there, for Firaxis, that should have been a canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, I know, because Dan's very willing to try things, and
he ran the Apollodan site. He ran Apollodan.
Yeah.
For those you don't know, Apollodan was the civilization site. The civilization site. Everything having to do, and everything Sid Meier really, because he even had a forum for dinosaurs, which was a canceled game. Yeah. And for those who want to know, I first got in contact with Dan because I was making maps for Heroes of Might and Magic 2 and 3. And I know that there are a lot of countries where my maps are on their CDs and they're, 1,000 things of CDs, because I just said, I don't care, just take them.
Civ 5, he does have about 2,972 hours on it. Yeah. So Civ is his main game.
Well, yeah. I mean, too bad we can't record how many hours he did of Civ 1.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure it's about a couple thousand as well for me, definitely. I played a lot of Civ 1.
Here's the thing. I pre-ordered Civ 2, and I went to the I think it was Electronics Boutique, and I went there and I said, "Here, I'm here to pick up Civ 2." He says, "Oh yeah, good luck." He says, "No, I have a pre-order." Oh, okay. Which sort of tells you how fast that thing was snapped up because that was launch day. And my computer, by the way, could not run Civ 2. All it could run was the game and not any of the 3D avatars and anything like that.
Yeah, that was my computer as well. I couldn't run the avatars, and in order to do the council, the colors had to be turned black and white on my computer. I mean, it was bad. It was crazy. But I still played a lot of Civ 2 as well. I really loved Civ 2. I thought that was such a big upgrade, and I didn't really like Civ 3, so I just kept playing Civ 2 until Civ 4 came out.
I liked Civ 3 because it was the game that added borders. You remember in Civ 1 and 2, it's kind of annoying that all you had were cities, and those were your countries, and they had to be touching, because otherwise you had blobs of cities all over the place. I also remember how people
It was sort of an invisible border, because I do remember if you were within the city's radius, and the cities were close together, it was sort of an invisible border, and the AI would still ask you to get out, if you were near any of their cities.
But I remember how people would exploit. I remember seeing Civ 1 things, and it was sort of like hexagons all over the place because everything had a railroad to everything else, and all the cities were 100. Oh, this city has 30 million people in it.
Yeah, that was there. There's a lot of crazy abuse in Civ 1. I remember reading the manual for Civ 2, and Sid Meier's talked about what they wanted to change because they were seeing people launch spaceships in the BC era, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be able to do that.
Anyways, we look for our show notes at gamingpodcast.net along with industry news and our gaming history articles. If you enjoy feedback, leave us comments on our blog at gamingpodcast.net. Also, hit us up at facebook.com/gamingpodcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes and leave iTunes comments. You can find me in Blue Sky at Jonah Falcon.
You can find me at Johnny Chugs.
You can find me at Shard the Sage.
And hopefully we'll have more, better, happier news next week. Because, like I said, there's not much news this week or the last week, and it's basically all depressing.
So, happy gaming, everyone.
Have fun. Be cool. Play games, y'all.
Stream is over.